Okay, everyone, welcome back. It's episode 3 of Totally Bored. And what are we reviewing? We're doing performance boards, actually, from the 6 shapers that we've got involved. We've got Lost, JS, DHD, Pyzel, Merrick. Who are we missing out there? Sharpeye. And we had a good crack at going on a surf trip. We went up the coast trying to get some killer waves. We got a little bit let down. Don't worry, we had a really good time anyway, just in case you were worried. And we didn't really score any waves, but since then the boys have had a couple of sessions here and there and done the best. You'll see the footage. I mean, we don't get very good waves in Manly, unfortunately, but these boards, it's not all about really good waves. It's about really good boards, basically. So if they go good out here, they're going to go really good on your holidays, because that's what this is sort of aimed at. It's about good winter boards, good holiday boards, the ones that you really want to ride and shred on. Performance boards. Here we go, J Lowe. Fuck, let's go.
The Lost Driver 3.0 is a full rocket board with the exit rocker as aggressive as any other board in the test, with the entry rocker that's still aggressive but sits in between the other boards reviewed. The single concave starts off moderate and gradually deepens with a subtle double towards the rear of the board. The rail of the Driver 3.0 roundtail is on the lower side compared to the other boards in the test, and the tail profile wider than the other roundtails reviewed, designed to increase curve and sit higher on the water, accommodating to smaller conditions than the other roundtails tested. The rail of the Driver 3.0 squash is slightly boxier than the roundtail, and the tail profile pulled in, aligning it with the more refined squash tails tested.
What do you reckon, J Lowe, about the latest version?
The third Driver 3.0, well, the first Driver 3.0, but the third in the Driver series is actually my first one, and I liked it. Geez. I liked it. Yeah, I don't know. I've been behind the program a little bit with the Driver series, and mate, loved it. Great board, super fast, really responsive. Think it works well in almost, all conditions.
Yep.
Whether it was 2 foot, whether it was 5 foot, I felt like it really worked. With the lower rail, I felt like it struggled a little bit on rail in some of the fatter sections, which isn't what it's not what the board was designed for. But in a really cuppy wave, it really liked going up and down, nice and vertical. So in the right conditions, worked really well, super fast. Cool. I think, a young guy's going to love this board. Like a couple of times when I rode in the wrong conditions or I was feeling a little bit off, I had this little thought in my head that this board hates bad surfing, and sometimes, let's face it, I'm 39 years old. Sometimes there's there's a lot of bad surfing, but I really thought, a young guy that's super energetic would just love this board in almost any condition. Whereas me, I liked it when it was steep. Didn't matter if it was 2 foot or 6 foot.
So it's a grommet shredder board. What do you reckon, you old grommet, Dale?
Well, mate, I mean,
you ride the roundtail, by the way, too. He had the squash, you had the roundtail,
yeah,
so
I had
slightly
the
different.
But look. To start with, we did go up the coast. We did get skunked. It was 2 foot and terrible, and I couldn't ride any of the boards up there because I was too fat. And I was struggling.
At least you're honest.
It was 2 foot and onshore. I was struggling. I couldn't even breathe out there. Yeah. But down here, it was 4 to 5 foot, really good conditions. All of the boards that I rode actually felt really good. Yeah, cool. So they all had something really positive about it. Yeah. And I'm going to have to really drill down on these to try and find something that's either really positive or somewhat negative, but it's pretty hard to do. But I mean, the driver for me just felt really comfortable. Yep. It paddled well. Yep.
That helps. Good paddle pads.
It went everywhere I want, but if it was almost a bit vanilla. I mean, I could do everything on it, but it didn't have some crazy amount of spark that was jumping out of the seams of the board. Right. But in saying that, I reckon this is the kind of board that I could go away with. I could surf in good waves anywhere and enjoy myself and have a hell time on.
Yeah, because you didn't really get great waves on it, but it felt good.
Oh,
It's a good sound
I
board.
did get great waves on it.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I got some really good waves on it, and I did get a couple of good sections. So it did feel really good in those sections. It did everything a board's supposed to do in those size waves.
And we're very critical, aren't we? So
Well,
we always have been.
We've got to try to be critical.
And ultimately, after riding that board, I'd be really surprised if there were many people that didn't like it. It ticks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sell a lot of them and hardly anyone dislikes it. So I would say that it's a really good board overall. Okay, cool.
The Golden Child by JS Industries is the most refined of the boards tested, with the nose and tail both significantly pulled in, giving the board a narrow profile. The entry rocker is aggressive with a medium exit rocker. The rail of the Golden Child is the lowest of any of the boards in this review, while the single to double concave is subtle throughout and significantly shallower than any of the boards tested. The Golden Child has been designed with these attributes with steep waves in mind.
What do you reckon about that one? Day off.
Ooh, curvy.
I threw the dummy.
Right, mate, this one surprised me the most out of all the boards. When I picked it up, it felt undersized. Yeah. And I know how boxy I am, and I knew I was going to struggle to paddle this thing.
Yeah.
It was, when I paddled it around, it did feel undersized, but I didn't miss any waves.
There you go. So paddle's good for how refined it is.
Yeah, it was all right, but it is more refined than the other models I used.
Yeah.
In saying that, I think this one could be the best one that I rode.
Wow, there you go. Are we going there? Are we all ready? Yeah. It's only board two.
This one just felt like it was sharp.
Yeah, it's sharp.
It was fast.
Yeah.
It had a little bit more than I expected through my turns.
Yeah.
So every time I put it through a turn, it just had a really nice release point. Yeah. It recovered really well, and it just had really good speed through everything. So I was really impressed with this one.
Wow, there you go.
I'm probably thinking about putting one in my quiver.
Yeah, there you go. The Golden Child that gets a tick of approval. You had a bit of a flashback, did you?
No, I've never been the Golden Child, mate.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was just talking about the good old days with the boards like that, because boards have gone through a little bit of a change lately, right. And that's a bit more, it's a new school version of what they used to be like. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. No, I've definitely seen a trend in for sure.
Is that what the Golden Child is?
I reckon. I've been selling boards all my life. That board, to me, looks like boards were, I don't know how long ago.
I think it's taken from, I haven't looked on the JS website, but I'm sure it's quoted somewhere. It's probably like from a 2003, Snapper Rocks contest that Parko rode to a trophy.
Oh, just Dingo getting behind the rocks.
Yeah, all the boys were ripping on it, and it still goes good. Obviously, it's been tweaked and refined, but it is a really good board. So,
nice.
J-Lo, you're next, man. What
not to mimic Dayyan completely, but this one definitely surprised me. Like Dayyan, I thought my one was definitely underfoamed, and unfortunately, it did play a disadvantage to this board. I definitely should have gone thicker.
Yeah.
Every other measurement, I even could have gone an inch longer on it. I found this board super manoeuvrable. I ride a lot of high.
Have you eaten a few more pies since the day that you actually ordered it?
Did you see me? Have you been looking?
Well, I've seen you stuffing those cream cakes down at work, mate.
Look, anyway, this is still trying to smoke me, but it's only 2 extra kilos. I'm 81 now. Last time we did this review, I was 79. He's on my case.
Winter coat.
But no, the board was a little bit light on in foam for me. Yeah. But I still got a really good feeling for the board. I think it worked in. This is the part where it surprised me, is it worked in almost all conditions. I rode this when it was fat. I rode it when it was small. I rode it when it was sizey, and I had a lot of fun on this board. I'm definitely adding one of these to my quiver.
Cool.
I'll just be increasing the thickness of the thing, and I recommend anyone that is ordering or purchasing one of these boards should increase the thickness. Because it's got a really refined low rail.
It's got a low rail.
Yeah, and it's one of those boards. I'm one of those people that tends to stick to my dimensions rather than the suggested volume or my volume that I would normally ride. And in this case, it was a disadvantage, but I should be sticking to the volume that I ride, which is normally around 29 and a half litres.
Well, they do have the 2 versions. They have the Pro one and then the Easy Rider one. And the Easy Rider one's not a normal Easy Rider.
I was
a normal one.
Timmy, I was already on the Easy Rider one.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
The Synergy by Sharpeye Surfboards has a full tail exit rocker and a medium entry rocker, which is slightly flatter than the other boards reviewed and designed to give the board additional drive. The rail is the fullest of any of the boards tested, and the nose profile, while still refined, was also the fullest of the boards tested. The tail profile of the squash tail is slightly wider and offers more curve in the tail outline than the other boards reviewed, while the round tail has a narrower outline, designed to give the board more hold than the squash tail. Also unique to the Synergy, it is the only board reviewed that featured a single concave throughout, rather than the more common single to double concave featured on the other 5 boards.
Straight off the bat, this was my favourite board in the review for the way I surf, for the waves that we surf. Some of the boards, when I reflect on them, some of them surf well on their rails, some boards surf well vertically. This board did both of those things right. It surfed, when we got steep sections thrown at us, it performed, just as you would like. Yeah. And when the waves got a little bit fatter, it performed on rail really well. Yeah. This was the only board in the review that was a single concave throughout, and it's a deep single concave. And I don't know, something about the transitions from rail to rail just was so smooth and buttery.
Pretty thick in the middle with quite a lot of
It is. And it's, while it's still a performance board, it's still, quite refined to a lot of the other boards in the shop. This one was really user-friendly for the, the waves that we get around here. Yeah. But in saying that, it would be the first board that I packed to go to Indo as well. Cool. I rode the squash tail on this one. I've ridden the round tail on this one. Yeah. And I love them both. The squash tail up to 4 foot, the round tail from anything from 3 foot to 6 foot. Yeah. I just reckon it's a dream 2-board quiver, this one. Love it.
Nice. Day off.
I don't have the same kind of praise for this one. For me, I love the Sharpeyes, and I was really looking forward to riding this. Mm-hmm. Everyone's spoken good things about the Synergy. I think that for me, this one was the last board I rode that day, and I think we surfed for about 2 hours, and by then I'm pretty sure I was flogged. So I found myself trying to find where my feet were supposed to be on the board.
Yeah. Sounds like user error. Is that the board's fault?
Sounds like old man.
It could be user error. I could have been a bit too tired for it. Yeah. In saying that, I remember I got a couple of turns away, but on those waves, I did shift my feet a couple of times. Yeah. So that board for me, it's inconclusive for me. I'm feeling like I needed to surf that another time, maybe for another half a session. Yeah. And I feel like I would have found my spot on the board.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I'd like to add here, guys, is the boys are only riding these boards for short periods of time. You know that when you get a board, you have to ride it a few times to get a feel for it and learn how to ride the board correctly. So I'm sure that you could have learned how to ride it. I'm
talking like 2 to 3 waves max.
Yeah, exactly.
Per
well,
board.
that's most people can't.
And that's where, and to that point, it probably differs a little bit. Myself that rides. I ride these. I rode all these boards in multiple conditions, and
that helps.
Dayyan rides, a little bit more high volume boards when the waves are 2 to 3 foot. Whereas, got ya. Whereas I don't. I ride these boards from anything from 2 foot and up. So I had a real good crack at these boards, and even the ones that I probably weren't my favourites, I really had a good crack at trying to make them work, and I rode most of the boards 5 times.
You'll see from the footage, guys, that J-Lo's out there surfing 2 foot waves on them all day off, didn't turn up that day for the footage. I rest my case.
If you're going to make this point, the point is that he's light enough to ride those in any kind of waves. I've been way too heavy for a long time to ride performance boards.
You're coming down, mate. You're coming down. Lost 9 kilos.
In small waves. Yeah. So I prefer to go back to fun boards, fishes, small wave boards for those, because they do the work for me.
Perfect.
With these ones, I need powerful waves to do the work for me.
Okay. And also to that point, like most of your boards were 6'1", I believe, and you're a little bit shorter than I am. And we made this point in the last review that, with that longer rail line, there's additional drive there. The boards are harder to turn, and therefore you really need a 4 foot wave. Whereas for me that's a little bit taller than you, and my boards, you know, all these boards for me were only 6 foot tall. My front foot and my foot positioning is a little bit further up on the board, so I don't have that same rail line that Dayyan has.
It's really wide.
Yeah, I know. I do have a wider stance, a bit of a stink bug, but yeah, I really get away with these. You know, I get away with riding these boards because I don't have the same, you know, length of rail that Dayyan has, you know, in comparison to where our feet are positioned. So if you're a little bit taller and leaner, you can probably get away with riding these boards in, you know, anything from 2 foot and up. Whereas if you're a little bit, how do I put this?
Older and heavier.
The Pyzel Power Tiger is a full rockered performance board designed for good waves in the head-high range. The tail rocker is as aggressive as any other board in the test, with an entry rocker that's slotted somewhere in the middle compared to the other boards in this review. Like all of John Florence's boards, there's an aggressive deep double concave that commences earlier and is far deeper than any other board in the review.
So, Pyzel Power Tiger, look, a lot of the Pyzels that John Florence rides, as soon as I pick them up, they've got this huge double concave in them, which just scares the hell out of me. So I picked this one up and, you know, it followed that same, you know, had that same attribute that a lot of John's boards do. And I was a little bit nervous to ride it. I really was. I really wanted to like it, and I really told myself, you know, to make sure that I really gave this board a good crack and, you know, ride it at least 5 times. And, you know, instantly from my first surf, it had a heap of speed, and I just was like, all right, this board's going to work. Yeah. And I just was like filled with a lot of hope that, you know, I was going to buck the trend and I was going to find a board with you know, that deep double concave that I really liked. Yeah. As time went on, you know, I found some pros to the board, and I found a few negatives that, you know, align with my thoughts around double concaves, and then you know, particularly deep ones. But you know, ultimately the board was fast. It wanted to get going the minute I got on it. I found it a little bit sticky on the bottom turns at times, and then at the top it had like a lot of release, and it was like this transition between, you know, as you move through the maneuver that. It went from feeling sticky to a heap of release, and it just felt like it wasn't a board that, you know, was ever going to really suit me. I think it would suit someone that's really, you know, an aggressive surfer, someone that turns really hard. I'm a bit of a soft surfer. I let the wave do a lot of the work, and I think this is a board that, you know, it wants you to manhandle it, and I just don't know if I'm that surfer. You know. I know there's other boards from the Pyzel range that, you know, align with something that's a little bit more, you know, uniform as, you know, across what we see from a lot of the other brands. But yeah, John's boards, I just struggle with a little bit. They're just not as smooth for me. But I reckon there was enough in this one that, you know, the right surfer would find, you know, some real positives. Hence, you know, why John Florence loves it so much.
All right, Dayyan, how did you feel about this one?
Yeah, this one was interesting. Does it have a little bit of V at the tail?
Heaps of V in the tail. I love that board, by the way. I've got one.
So basically, I mean, for me, it held its speed well, paddled well. It felt nice off the bottom. What it did do was pretty interesting is when I went through my turns, it would carve through the turn like I expected, and then right at the end of the turn, it would lift. The tail would lift a bit in the turn, and it would release a lot sooner than all the other boards that I rode. So what I felt like is it's the kind of board, if you rode it a lot, you'd dial yourself in to that carve and then release.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
You can imagine like coming into a turn with that speed, carving through it, and then drifting the tail at the end. So I reckon it's one of those boards that if you really like drifting the tail at the end of your turn, like layback snaps, you know, like snap into release, I reckon you're going to really like that one.
Hey, I surfed this board with Pagey. It was on a little dribbly day. It was 2 foot, and Benny was down there. It was one of the sessions that he filmed, and I there's nothing from that session that's going to be used from me, but Pagey was ripping on this board, and exactly to your point, you could see that little like tail flare, and he was getting a lot of release in the lip. And I was really surprised. That was the second session I'd ridden this board, and that was one that really kind of kick-started me. I was like, hey, I've got to make it work because I can see that it works. And Pagey's technique it's pretty good. You know, he's a much better surfer than I am. His technique is really good, and you know, and it looked like he had a lot of control, but you know, he had a lot of control with that drift.
Bit John-esque, perhaps.
Oh, Don't know if I'll go that far, but he's ripping on it.
The Channel Islands 2 Pro has the most rocker of any board in the test. It has a full entry and exit rocker combined with a subtle single to double concave and a fuller rail than most of the boards in our review. The nose and tail are pulled in quite narrow, making it one of the more refined outlines of the boards tested.
What's your thoughts on that one?
Straight to me. Well, it's no secret in this room that I'm a big fan of this board. I've had a lot of them. I actually called up Channel Islands before this review just to find out how many I had. I think they came back to me that I've had 12 of them between the CI Pro and the CI 2 Pro. And to tell you the truth, I thought that was low. I reckon they've missed a few. They're gonna, but I've had a lot of these boards. So yeah, huge fan. For me, this board just works around here so well. It's got a full rail, so it's really forgiving.
Yeah.
Highly rocketed. So with that becomes, there comes a lot of maneuverability. So I honestly ride this board when it's 1 foot still, and it works in everything. Obviously, with the round tail will help it, achieve more wave range into that 6 foot, plus range. But I find that you can, between those two tails, you can ride this board in everything. The last 2 trips I've done in the Mentawis.
Yeah.
I've ridden, I think the last time I think each trip I took 3 of them. I took everything from, a 6.0 squash tail, 6.1 round tail, 6.2 step up,
Massive range.
Yeah, massive range of boards. So, I just, for me, it just, that full rail still works in Indo. It works well here. Great board. Cool. Honestly, super fast. That's one other point I want to make about this board. So many people are scared of high rocket boards because they're worried about them pushing water. This board did not put, it does not push water. As soon as it's got that immediate burst of speed, the minute you take off, it's just, and then once you've got speed, you can kind of, do anything.
Okay, so full rocket boards can work. And everything. If you know how to ride them. Dayyan, what's your... I know you've had quite a few of these models too over the years.
Well, no, I've had one.
Is that all?
Yeah, I've had one, but I've held on to it.
Yeah, right.
I've had a Swallow version.
Yeah.
This one that I actually rode it was around a pin.
Yeah.
The Swallow version that I've owned, I actually got that for an Indo trip.
Yeah.
And it was just a fantastic shortboard style board for Indo fun waves.
Yeah.
So I didn't ride anything that was too heavy or serious, but it was just like the board you go to when you want to go throw down a couple of big turns.
The Swallow's a lot wider than the round tail that you rode though.
It
so
was.
How's the
it
round
was,
tail
and
go?
it felt different.
Yeah, they would.
The rounded pin just felt like it surfed deeper in the pocket.
Yeah.
I actually surfed it.
To do.
Yeah, I surfed it out at North Stain and then out at the Bower the day after, and it felt really comfortable.
Tubes.
Yeah, it felt really comfortable. I was just getting tubed out at North Stain.
Yeah.
There was no one there filming. But that was a real fun session. And then I went out to Winky and out the Bower, and I actually got one really good one out the Bower.
Yeah.
It just felt really comfortable doing manoeuvres. Float in a big wrap.
Yeah.
What I did feel compared to some of the other boards is with a higher rail, it wasn't as sharp through the turn, so you couldn't push it as hard. But in saying that, it just felt real loose and free.
Reliable.
Real nice and reliable through the turn. So you won't be throwing down your hardest turn,
but it won't
but
let you down.
it's just going to feel really buttery.
I definitely agree with that comment as well. Particularly when I took the board to Indo, with that rocker, it still surfed vertically really nice, but definitely on rail, while I said it worked really well on rail here in Sydney, you take it over into a wave with a lot more punch, and then that fuller rail does hinder it. It has its pros and cons.
The MFDNA by DHD Surfboards has a full tail rocker and a slightly lower entry rocker than most of the other boards in the review, designed for more drive in good waves. The DNA has a moderate single concave under the front foot, which deepens towards the rear with a subtle double concave in the tail. The DNA has a mid to low rail, but sat in the middle of the pack compared to the other boards tested, with some of the others feeling considerably lower.
Mate, did you get any good waves on the DNA?
This is the last board I rode. I actually surfed it out, really nice, 4 foot, North Stain, good lefts. Not as pumping as what I surf the rest of the models.
Yeah.
But I got some really fun waves on it. Cool. Felt really fast, held a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Ran through its rail really nicely. I only got lefts on it, mind you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ran through its rail really nicely. And then when I wanted to square up and hit it,
Yeah.
it felt really sharp
Cool.
and really responsive. I did get a couple of waves where it felt a lot looser than what I expected. Mm-hmm. I believe that's because out of all of the sessions, I've been using the AM larges.
Extra
And
large. Oh, no,
the
larges.
AM,
Yeah.
the AM larges. I use the AM larges when the waves are a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
and the extra larges when it's smaller.
Yeah.
But I believe that the DNA was made with Mick Fanning's fin in mind.
Yeah,
And I
that's
reckon if I
probably
had
true.
the Mick Fannings in it, it would have it wouldn't have been as loose.
Sure.
But I kind of enjoyed it being that loose.
Okay.
So
So
give
fast
and
and
take.
loose.
Yeah, fast and loose.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it.
it was
All
fun.
right. J-Lo, how'd you go? Did you ride it much?
Yeah, I rode this board a few times, and I'm not sure if I was riding the same board as Dayyan because he's calling fast and loose, and I'm calling it. I actually think it was the driviest board in the whole range, and the first time I rode it, definitely the wrong conditions. It was 1 to 2 foot little shory, and I found that it was a little bit slower than some of the other boards. As soon as I got it in, something of 3 foot. That was completely, any thoughts around it being slow just completely evaporated. Mm-hmm. In the right conditions, it wasn't hindered by the speed
That's why
at
you
all.
disagree with me, because when I surfed it, it was 3 to 4 foot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay.
You were surfing at a dribble.
But I found, all right. But then we're talking about the speed. But then to your point, you saying it's a really loose board. I actually think it had the most hold of any of the boards that we tested.
Right.
So it's got that slightly flatter entry rocker.
How wide was your one?
19 wide.
Yeah, mine's 19 and a half, so maybe the
That
width
makes a lot of difference for sure.
changes the
plays a
rail
role.
shape a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I thought it was it felt like a really good board. As soon as I got it in 3 foot waves, it felt really nice. For whatever reason, it really felt like, even when I was riding it in 2 foot, even though I'm saying, it was a little bit on the slower side and had a lot of drive, it felt like it was going to be a board that worked. As soon as I jumped on it, I was like, all right, in the right waves, this thing just needs snapper rocks, it needs Indo, and this board will go amazing.
Needs a wall.
And then when I got it in, 3 foot Queenscliff, which isn't exactly, 3 foot Indo or 3 foot snapper rocks, it did come to life. But I just, for whatever reason, and I do put it down to user error, I really struggled. I think, Benny will probably pull up some clips in this video, and I'm bogging rail and, just misstepping on this board a lot. But it wasn't that the board ever felt odd. The board felt really good. It just felt like, user error.
Well, and you didn't get the waves for it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with doing surfboard reviews.
Yeah. The other thing is, while Dayyan said that, he probably should have used the MFs in it, across all 6 boards, I rode the same fins. So I used the Mick Fannings in a large template across all 6 boards. So I did ride the Mick Fanning DNA with the MF fins, and, that might have, resulted in why that fin had a lot more, why that board had a lot more hold for me, because I was using a more raked, larger template than the AMs.
Cool. We're off to cloud break tomorrow, boys. You're only allowed to choose one of the boards. Which one are you taking? Dayyan. The forecast is 5 foot and perfect.
Mate, I think I'll take the Golden Child.
Okay. J-Lo?
For cloud break or Fiji?
Just perfect waves or whatever. 5 foot reef break, barrels, turns, perfect, just proper waves. Where these boards are designed to go, which one? It's a hard choice because I want to take them. You want to take them
I want to take more, more than one.
Yeah.
I'm taking the Synergy and a round tail.
Can we do the review there? Timbo?
Well, I did it last week.
All right, next year.
Are you taking us somewhere for the next review?
No, this is a big segue. Hey, so click the like button if you like what you see. Subscribe, and this time next year we might be in the Mentawais
Let's
doing
go
the
somewhere
next.
better. Let's test them where they should be tested because
Seriously,
fuck, it's
dude.
hard work, man, around here.
Yeah, we're
Anyway, next up, we're going to do another board review. Let's do something that works out the front. Let's do fishes, midlands, something easy.
We're
J-Lo
gonna-
won't,
we might-
J-Lo won't
Can I
want to
make
know
a
about it.
suggestion?
we're going to get the grommies
Can I
involved.
make
We're
a
going to do grom
suggestion for the
boards.
next review, though?
Yeah.
That you actually get on this review and review a couple of boards and let's see a couple of those Ely layback
Oh,
stats.
mate, I will.
Who wants to see Timmy in the
let's do it,
review?
yeah,
Come on,
mate.
Timmy. Let's.
Oh, fuck.
Put
Step
your
up,
comments
mate.
in. Who wants to see Ely throw down a couple of layback snaps?
Nah. I can't do them anymore with backs too. I'll do something else. I do roundhouses.